Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Cycle with Max. It's obvious I'm pretty deeply into Zwifting these days and having a lot of fun doing it. I've showed you kind of from scratch the dead minimum of what it takes to get involved in other videos, from just a plain old bike and a plain old trainer with just a speed sensor to kind of taking it up a level and getting a smart trainer, which allows the game to kind of control the resistance that you're experiencing and kind of force you to feel like you're going up and down hills and start shifting gears. But now I kind of want to show you through my evolution towards the ultimate Zwifting station. Now, presently the ultimate Zwifting station doesn't exist, but I promise you there's people all around the world that are working on it day and night to make that happen. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I've gone through and tried, and some of the things I like, and where I'm at kind of presently in the evolution of my station. So let me just get to that. I'm going to grab my camera here and I'll show you around. I think I've told you already that you know, just a plain aluminum bike is all that's really required. Even if you had as much money as you wanted to spend. These are Specialized Delay Elites. They were $1,300 and $1,375, and they have Shimano 105, you know, 2x11 on it, so it's feels very familiar to you if you're used to riding a road bike. The only thing I would have done differently at this point in time is I would have spent a little more and gotten through axle bikes. So if you're a higher wattage rider, high output, or you like to sprint, or you like to stand to climb, yanking and pulling on a bike in a trainer is really hard on where it mounts in the back, and you can kind of try and jerk the thing out of the trainer. But if you had a through axle, that just wouldn't be possible. It would be much more permanently secured into the components. So that's one thing I would do different. Then we started obviously with our bikes on the floor. We had the Wahoo rubber mats underneath them. Those kind of sucked for me. They basically would kind of bunch up. The trainer would creep on the mat, and as I either sprinted or stood to climb. So it was kind of better than nothing. And then depending on the floor that you've got, you know, you may need to protect your floor in some way. It was really important setting the pressure on the outside of the feet to keep it from creeping while you're trying to do that kind of stuff. So you actually want enough pressure on the outside of the feet that it kind of almost lifts the center foot off the floor, because that way when you sit down on it, all of the flex in the legs where they'll bow up slightly, everything will sit down, and then it's more rigid and secure that way with your body weight once it's on it. If you just set it up to where it's neutral, where everything's just touching, as soon as you go to rock it, that thing bends and flexes all over the place, and you know, the arms have a huge amount of slop in them. Even when they're locked in, the tip of the frame will swing an inch at least on each end. So they haven't really designed that or engineered that very well at Wahoo. I do at this point in time recommend that you buy Wahoo products, because at this moment in time they are the only company that has an elevator for the front of the bike. It's as big of a jump as it is to have a smart trainer in the back that the game controls. It's that order of magnitude again to have the elevator on the front of the bike. Now there are, you know, several premium brands of smart trainers, but no one has this at this time. That elevator only works with Wahoo trainers. So because of that, you have to buy, or I recommend you buy Wahoo products at this time. You will experience aggravation with them. Trust me, they have a host of problems and huge connectivity troubles, which I believe pretty much all of the trainer companies have. That's the frustrating part of this, that no idiot has gone into the engineering department, thrown a USB cable in their face and said, hey, can I just have a cable that connects all this stuff to my computer so I don't have to deal with wireless connections and dropouts and pairing and crossover and crosstalk and dropouts and all this insanity that, you know, you have to practically fly a rocket to try and use this stuff. So then there's a desk. The desk is a huge improvement to have. Now, Wahoo sells this desk, but on the internet, unfortunately for them, they have it branded with their name on it, and it's $250. But there's 6 companies on Amazon that sell the literally exact same product. It's obviously all made the same factory in China, and it has other people's names on it, and it's $117 on Amazon. So you can buy it; it'll match all the Wahoo stuff, but you don't buy the Wahoo one because it's literally more than twice the price. You will need a strong fan. Now, I use the Wahoo Headwind fan. It has one feature that makes it near and dear to me that I can't find in any other fan, and that's that it connects to my heart rate. So the harder I work, the harder it blows on me. Other than that, this fan sucks. It's really terribly engineered and designed, but there's nothing else that suits this purpose better than the Wahoo Headwind fan. I'm going to do a review on that on another day and kind of show you what I don't like about it. But in the meantime, you can see it's on my rig. I use it. There's cheaper fans that blow just as hard that have a lot more features than this. But the one thing I really like is the variable wind speed based on my heart rate. It will also blow based on the speed you're moving down the road. So but the trick is most people figure out after day one, when you're riding fast, it blows on you, and when you're not working so hard. When you get on a mountain and you're killing yourself climbing really slowly, it just barely blows on you, and you're like catching on fire. So you want it to kind of work the opposite of reality to have the most level of comfort. So the Wahoo Headwind fan is the only fan I know of that will do that presently. If anybody knows the one, please comment below. But the desk gives you room to have stuff, and you're going to need some stuff. So you're going to need a keyboard. I did a little video on this slick Logitech keyboard I found for 25 bucks. Has a contained mouse and obvious buttons to use, nothing to flap around while you're trying to ride and you bang into this thing and who knows what's going on while you're trying to ride or sprint. I throw a little music cube up here with an iPod with a playlist I made up that I like. You can have your glasses or medication or something to blow your nose on when your nose gets runny. I have a set of Bluetooth earphones that I use to talk to people while we're riding, using an app called Discord that lets you just voice talk while you're playing the game. It's also free. If you're in an environment where there's more than one bike, you're going to have tons of sensors all over the place, and you're not going to be able to figure out what's what. So we created a sensor list for each of our stations in both ANT Plus and Bluetooth. We've never been able to get any of this stuff to connect reliably, so I have great hopes for a new product that just arrived today from a company called North Pole Engineering. And so I'm hoping that this takes Wahoo's completely unreliable connectivity and makes it work good. So I'm hoping that's the only thing that aggravates me about this game so far, is the lack of connectivity from Wahoo. Then up here, this was an experiment I did today. It's still too small to read, so I'm just going to have these blown up at Kinko's. But these are all the keyboard shortcuts for all the stuff you want to do while you're playing the game. And these are from Eric Schlang at Zwiftinsider.com. Probably the holy grail website for all of Zwifting. Has a million cool tips and points and all the information you could probably ever want about Zwifting. He's 100 light years ahead of me and the videos I make. But what these are all the commands. So like camera angles, the rider actions you can take, how to control your bike in certain situations and things to do like that. But I had those on my desktop, but there's not enough room and I can't read them, so I want to get them up to where when I'm playing I can do that. We have our TVs on these gas charged articulating mounts, and so it allows me to bring these down right at face level while I'm playing so that I don't have to tilt my head up and put a crick in my neck while I'm trying to play. But if I want them out of the way, then you simply just, let me drop my little stand up here so I can show you. Sorry about that. So these just do this. You grab them and they float up or float down, and or you just place it right where you want it. So that's a really pretty cool thing. Those are like 260 bucks. And that makes it so that you can, for cycling, you can have a TV down low, like I said, where you want it, and then put it back on the wall for just normal viewing. We're using currently Wahoo Surfaces for connecting to the game. The problem with the Wahoo Surfaces is they only have one USB port and no way to connect to the televisions. So I found these things called mini docks from a company called J5. So that gizmo right there was like 70 bucks. And what it gives me is a USB cord into the Surface, which only has one USB port. Then it gives me two USB ports on the dock. I use one for my Logitech keyboard. Then it gives me an Ethernet port and an HDMI port. Now the HDMI port obviously lets me run a cord and connect to any plain old TV, and then anything you see on the Surface is what's displayed on the TV, and it just does that. You don't have to be an expert or anything. Just plug it in, it does it. No brains there. And then you see we have Ethernet cords running to this. You know, early on we found anything with a wireless connection in any method or manner is going to piss you off, guaranteed. So I ran a cord from an empty port on my wireless router in my house, which is, you know, kind of up there in that corner of the floor. This is a drop ceiling. I just ran a cable through it and down through behind this wall, and I put a little 4-port Ethernet hub and then ran 2 wires out to our 2 computers here. So we have not been kicked off of the internet since I did that. Now we are incessantly kicked off of the game because of the horrible pairing between the Wahoo kicker, and not just Wahoo. This is every brand of trainer has these problems. It's shocking that no one is smart enough at any of these companies to just put a plain ass USB cable out of the trainer and into your computer. Would literally solve 99% of every tech calls they take every day. So that's pretty aggravating. Now, there's 2 final frontiers for indoor cycling they're evolving quickly, and that's rocker plates. So rocker plates allow your bike to toggle and kind of simulate reality, make it more realistic of an experience as you ride. It lets your bike be free, whereas a trainer normally has it just, you know, stuck in a vertical, rigid, upright location. So there's lots of independent inventors working on this. Some small companies, you know, with some products out. I bought some and tried them, was not happy. Contacted the owner, and hopefully I'm going to be working with him on developing some super badass rockers. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of inventing now these days. And no one has worked out steering yet. Now Zwift has some steerable programs, but no one has worked out how you're going to steer your bike. So I'm working on that kind of in my spare time. And I'll have some other little products that come out related to this stuff here on my own. So kind of watch for those. I'll do some videos on those. So there you have it. That's my my ultimate Zwifting station at the moment. And but there will be more to come, and as I make improvements, I'll show you around in a few months and see what kind of new stuff we come up with and who other products we try, and as we work towards having the most realistic and fun experience that we can have indoors while training while the weather's bad here over the winter. So my name's Max McAllister. Don't forget to like this video, hit my like button down there, and share this with your friends who are into Zwifting. So if they want to improve their Zwifting stations, maybe they take some of these tips with them and improve their setup. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll keep this cool content coming.